Welcome to our US Briefing Show. Today, we're diving into some fascinating news. First up, Chinese-funded factories in Mexico are expected to keep their US trade perks under the USMCA, despite ongoing tensions and trade talks. Mexico's officials believe restrictions won't target Chinese companies directly, making Mexico a hotspot for Chinese investment thanks to its proximity and trade deals. So, Chinese firms can breathe easy, at least for now. Next, a serious controversy is brewing over the Gaza conflict. Reports reveal that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu might be prolonging the war for personal gain, while the Biden administration is accused of misleading the public and supporting Israel's military actions despite evidence of war crimes. This raises urgent questions about accountability and the future of U.S. foreign policy, definitely a story to watch. Finally, in Japan, Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba is optimistic about reaching a fair trade deal with the U.S., even amid threats of tariffs. Discussions are ongoing, and both sides seem eager to find common ground before Japan's elections. It's a reminder that diplomacy is alive and kicking, and a good deal might be just around the corner. Please continue to stay tuned for more detailed coverage. According to the South China Morning Post, Chinese-funded factories in Mexico are expected to retain their preferential treatment under the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, despite ongoing U.S.-China trade tensions and upcoming review of the trade deal. Mexican officials emphasize that the revisions to USMCA will likely focus on tightening rules of origin, requiring more local production, rather than imposing restrictions on specific countries like China. This has made Mexico an increasingly attractive destination for Chinese companies seeking to avoid tariffs, especially after the U.S. imposed 30% tariffs on Mexican goods last week over issues related to fentanyl trafficking and immigration. Notably, Chinese electric vehicle giant BYD had planned to build a manufacturing plant in Mexico but recently scrapped those plans under pressure from both governments, illustrating the complex dynamics Chinese firms face in the region. Foreign policy reports on the troubling revelations surrounding the Biden administration's handling of the Gaza conflict, revealing a pattern of deception and inaction. A detailed New York Times Magazine investigation exposes how Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has prolonged the war for political survival, risking mass casualties and international isolation. The article criticizes Biden's administration for repeatedly misleading the public about Israel's conduct, despite ample evidence of war crimes and civilian harm. Senior officials, including Matthew Miller, have admitted that Israel committed war crimes, yet the U.S. continued arming and supporting Israel, citing false justifications that aim to preserve influence and avoid escalation. This cover-up has facilitated ongoing atrocities, and the piece calls for accountability from officials who knew the truth but chose silence or complicity, emphasizing that addressing these crimes is essential for democracy and justice. Nikkei Asia details Japan's efforts to negotiate a tariff agreement with the United States amid tense trade relations. Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, in meetings with U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, expressed optimism about reaching a mutually beneficial deal, emphasizing the importance of direct talks with President Trump. While the U.S. has threatened to impose higher tariffs, up to 25%, on Japanese imports, Japan seeks to avoid such measures and address trade deficits that stood at $69 billion last year. The timing of Bessent's visit coincides with Japan's upcoming upper house elections, prompting the government to show a strong diplomatic stance. Despite the political pressures, both sides acknowledge that a good, sustainable trade agreement remains possible, with officials prioritizing dialogue over hasty decisions to ensure mutual benefits. The Spiegel article paints a vivid picture of the Trump administration's assault on scientific integrity, highlighting the case of Nobel laureate Thomas Sudhof, who faced scrutiny after retracted papers due to technical errors that were later revealed by AI tools. Sudhof emphasizes that these mistakes did not undermine the validity of his research, but the broader narrative pushed by Trump's executive order claims a crisis of reproducibility, which Sudhof disputes. The scientist laments the erosion of public trust in science, citing the pandemic and climate change debates as examples of how political propaganda and misinformation have fueled hostility towards scientific expertise. Sudhof warns that the ongoing political attacks aim to dismantle the American scientific elite, with Harvard symbolizing the heart of this elite class targeted for their influence and perceived social dominance. He expresses concern that if the rule of law in the U.S. is compromised, the long-term future of scientific progress could be severely weakened, especially amid the rising global competition from China. The South China Morning Post details the U.S. consulate in Wuhan's suspension of visa interviews due to dangerous heat levels and inadequate air conditioning, a consequence of local building management delaying cooling activation during a brutal heat wave. The consulate's public criticism sparked a fierce social media debate, with some Chinese netizens accusing the U.S. of attempting to stir conflict and questioning whether the consulate pays its bills or is exploiting public spaces to avoid costs. The situation underscores the logistical and bureaucratic frustrations faced by visa applicants during peak travel season, with many lamenting the lack of transparency and alternative options like online processing. The incident highlights the broader challenges posed by climate change, which has led to strict regulations on indoor and outdoor work conditions in China, emphasizing the health risks and administrative hurdles that arise in extreme weather conditions. The Associated Press provides a comprehensive overview of Donald Trump's ongoing financial pursuits, revealing how his family businesses have amassed hundreds of millions of dollars through controversial ventures since his presidency. Unlike previous presidents who placed their assets in blind trusts to avoid conflicts of interest, Trump's children continue to manage his holdings, which include lucrative real estate, merchandise, and a burgeoning cryptocurrency empire. Trump's crypto ventures, once dismissed as scams, have now generated billions through coins like $WLFI, Trump meme coins, and a $2 billion investment from a UAE fund, enriching the Trump family while raising questions about conflicts of interest and ethical boundaries. Despite claims of non-involvement, Trump's financial interests appear intertwined with his political influence, prompting critics to question the normalization of such conflicts and the long-term implications for American democracy and global competitiveness. According to Associated Press, Amy Arnott of Morningstar explains that retirees should consider adjusting the traditional 4% withdrawal rule to better safeguard their savings in today's changing economic landscape. Their recent research suggests a slightly lower initial safe withdrawal rate of 3.7%, based on conservative market return estimates and a 30-year retirement horizon. This cautious approach accounts for high market valuations and lower future bond yields, which could mean diminished returns compared to the robust performance of the past 15 years. Arnott emphasizes that the core challenge for retirees is balancing sufficient spending to enjoy retirement without risking the depletion of their nest egg, especially given the unpredictable nature of future markets. Unlike historical data-based strategies, their forward-looking model incorporates conservative assumptions to build a buffer against potential downturns, making it a prudent adaptation of the classic 4% rule in an era of elevated valuations and uncertain returns. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
Waking up to wonders, tech and nature blunders. Got our rockets flying while the oceans are sighing. Lasers in the sky now.